Now we're going to look at the last two paragraphs of this 5-paragraph persuasive essay. Now, remember that the whole point of the persuasive essay is to persuade someone to agree with you and to do what you're suggesting. Of course, you're just explaining why they should do that through your words on the page, and you aren't actually there. But if you were having a real conversation with this other person, then they might have some objections to your plan. They might say, well, wait, but what about this? Or, isn't the problem with your plan that this will happen? So what you have to do to make your essay as convincing as you can is you have to imagine the counter arguments that they might make. Imagine what they might say against your own argument. And then put that into your essay, and then explain why they should go ahead with your plan anyway. So we're going to look at how this works in the sample essay, okay? Right after the third paragraph, which is the second body paragraph, right? This new system of meal sharing will make us closer as well as healthier. We've been focusing on all the benefits of the plan up until this point. And then the third body paragraph, which is the fourth paragraph overall, starts. Of course, I can imagine some of the objections to this plan. Someone might say, but most of us are very busy. We eat something quick and easy because we're tired after a long day of work. I know that's true, and I'm not saying it will always be easy to come home and find the energy to prepare a big, well-balanced meal. However, it's important to remember that you'll only expend so much energy twice a month while needing to cook much less often overall. Consequently, you'll save time and energy in the long term. So, we can see what's happening. First of all, we have a sentence that is signaling, okay, now I'm going to talk about objections to this plan. This isn't exactly a topic sentence in the way that the first two body paragraphs had topic sentences, because it would be really complicated to put all of the objections and also the responses to the objections into one sentence. So instead, there's just sort of this basic sentence signaling, okay, we're going to talk about objections, which are the counter arguments to my plan. And then we have this kind of interesting thing where it's almost like a story, right? Where you put in dialogue about what different people said. Now, you're not actually talking face to face with your reader, so you're not really having a conversation. But you have to imagine a kind of conversation between you and your reader. And you think about, what objections might they have? What might they say are reasons that we shouldn't go ahead with my plan? And then you kind of put that conversation, in a way, into your persuasive essay. So it's almost like you're putting on a little play, and you say, okay, now here's what the other character says, and here's what I say to that. Someone might say, and then we even use quotation marks to have the objection, but most of us are very busy. We eat something quick and easy because we're tired after a long day of work. And then the quotation marks end, and we have the response to that counterargument. Now, sometimes, if somebody might have a counterargument that is just wrong, it's just mistaken, and they're incorrect, then you can say, well, that's wrong, and here's why it's wrong. But in this case, it's true. People are tired after a long day of work, and so it's okay to admit that the counterargument makes some sense. And I'm not always saying it will be easy to come home and find the energy to prepare a big, well-balanced meal. However, right, it's important to remember that you'll only expend so much energy twice a month while needing to cook much less often overall. Consequently, you'll save time and energy in the long term. So, yes, you're right. We're tired. It can be hard to find the energy to make a big meal. But remember, overall, you're saving energy, even though you do have to use a lot of energy twice a month, you're saving energy in the long term. And then we get another counter argument, another objection. Another objection might be that this takes away our individual choice about meals, because we'll have to eat whatever our housemate made that night, right? Somebody might say that. They might say, well, what if I don't want to have the same thing that Jim feels like making that night? However, again, a signal word, there's going to be some sort of switch of direction here, some kind of contradiction to what was just said. That's the objection. However, my response is that variety is the spice of life. And that's in quotation marks because it's a common phrase, it's a saying. I don't know if you've heard that, but it's an English phrase that means variety, differences, changes. That's what makes life spicy and taste good, okay? It's good for us to sometimes try dishes we might not have made on our own. This introduces us to new flavors and keeps us from getting stuck in the same old routine. So you can see in this paragraph we have two different objections. One is that we're too busy to make a big meal, and the other is that it takes away our individual choice. Both of those are reasonable objections that somebody might really make, right? I didn't pick some kind of crazy, weird objection, like, oh, I don't want to do your plan because I don't know. I only eat fruit, and that's the only thing I eat, and nobody is going to make an all-fruit meal for me. Now, you might be able to find somebody who only eats fruit, but that's not a good objection that most people are going to have, right? The objections that we talk about in the counter-arguments paragraph are good objections that someone might really have. But then we answer those objections by explaining why, yes, it's true we're tired, but overall we're saving energy. Or, yes, we lose some individual choice, but that way we get variety and we get new flavors, so we don't get stuck in the same old routine. So the counter arguments to your particular plan will depend on what your plan is, right? You need to think about what's reasonable for your own plan. But one of the most common counter arguments that anybody will make about any plan is that it will cost too much, right? If we're going to change things, if we're going to do something differently, then it will take more money often or more effort, right? So that's one possible counter argument that you should think about for your plan and that you might want to address in the counter arguments paragraph. And this is how you help to make your persuasive argument really, really persuasive, right? Because somebody reads it and they say, well, you know what, I was thinking that there were some objections, but now I see that the author's already thought about my objections and had an answer to that. So yeah, now I do trust that the author really thought about this plan and it's a good plan. And then finally, the last paragraph is the conclusion. What the conclusion basically does is that it summarizes the most important points that were already made, but it summarizes them in different words. So basically, it's going to mention all the most important points from the body of the essay, but in a shorter space. So what were the main points? Now, the thesis statement is we should each start making 2 big meals a month, since if we each put in a little bit of effort, all of us can enjoy a better quality of life. And then the reasons for that were that it'll be more practical because it's less work and also cheaper. And also, cooking for each other this way will be better for our bodies and our souls, right? So then, when we go down to the conclusion, we can see those same points. Therefore, despite our busy schedules and our habits of eating easy, familiar dishes, it seems clear that this new plan will save us time and money while feeding both our bodies and our souls. By investing some extra effort just 2 times a month, we will be ensuring ourselves a steady supply of delicious, nutritious, and inexpensive meals, 18 each month. The best part is, we'll be coming closer together at the same time. Now, notice that this is the last one of the points that was mentioned in the first two body paragraphs, right? Even more important, this will nourish our spirits. We'll become a community, not just roommates, right? Because this has the strongest emotional appeal, and you always want to end on your strongest point. Now, after we have that really strong point, then we have the counterarguments paragraph, because we have to sort of stop and answer possible objections. But then in the conclusion, when we're summarizing everything, we mention the, how it's less time, less money, and it's nutritious and delicious and everything. But we reiterate the most important part. The best part is we're becoming closer together at the same time. So you end with the strongest part, and then we have this last sentence of the conclusion. So during our house meeting next week, please think of sharing that fragrant, spicy curry with your housemates, and also sharing conversation and laughter. And then vote for this plan. I don't know if you remember what this last part of the conclusion is called, the very last part of the essay. It's called a call to action. A call to action. The call to action is where you specifically tell your reader to do something. Okay? I don't want you to just agree with me and be thinking about what I told you to think about. I want you to actually do something, because I'm trying to get us to change things in the real world, right? So, yes, start by just, imagining that curry, which links back to the very beginning, to the hook. But then, think about the curry, think about sharing it with your housemates, think about sharing conversation and laughter, and then do something, and then vote for this plan. So the call to action should have what's called an imperative, which means that you are telling someone to do something. Go out and call your senator today. Donate to our campaign now, right? You're telling someone to do something. That's the call to action. And then vote for this plan. And you end the entire essay with that, because the ending of a piece of writing is the most important place in certain ways. And you want to make sure that they actually take action and they don't just forget about your essay, So in the conclusion, you're summarizing the most important points in new words, and of course in a shorter space. And then you end with a call to action, and that's all you need to do in the conclusion. I hope that all makes sense, how those last two paragraphs are working, and how they fit in with the essay overall. Remember, the thesis statement is the most important. You want the reader to agree with your thesis statement and adopt your plan, and so you spend the first two body paragraphs explaining all the benefits of your plan, and then you answer their possible objections. They might not just go along and agree with you automatically. You might have to explain your answer to their counterarguments. So you do that in the counterarguments, and then at the end you remind them of all the good reasons to adopt your plan, and the very last sentence is a call to action where you tell them to do something since they agree with you now. And that's how the 5-paragraph persuasive essay model works. I hope that all makes sense, and of course Leslie can answer questions that you might have again.